Hello YouTube and welcome to my review of Arturia Augmented Strings. Now I say it that slowly because I always get tongue-tied when I'm trying to pronounce that sound library name. If you're not familiar with the concept of this library, what it does is it takes orchestral strings and it turns them into these really hybrid kind of sound design strings. So without further ado, what I've done is I've actually made a track here that we can actually listen to so we can hear it in a cinematic context. After that, I'll take you through the breakdown of the track as well, section by section, so you can hear how those sounds actually work together. And then also I'll play some of the sounds through that come with augmented strings as well, so you can hear what's in the library. Let's get to it. There we go. So that's the demo track for you. I've gone for a very Stranger Things-esque type thing. Now, you may have noticed when I was playing back the track that a lot of my tracks are actually muted. That's because what I've had to do is actually bounce it down to an audio track so we can actually listen to that without any clicks and pops. Now, this is going to be one of the first drawbacks I'm going to say of the library. Not everything can be perfect. It's going to be a CPU hog. So it does hog your CPU a bit. It's not the worst thing in the world. It is, you can work with it. Like, you can still play the track back fine and everything like that. It's just I didn't want any clicks and pops for the demo track. You will see if I load up my my CPU meters here, you can see that our augmented strings compared to everything else is really, you know, when it's playing as well, it goes a bit higher than this. So obviously, one thing you might want to bear in mind is if your tracks go up to about 100 tracks or something like that. I've got about 33 in here so far. The CPU may be a little bit of an issue for you. It might cause some clicks and pops and stuff like that. So just bear that in mind. But first of all, what I want to talk about with this library, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everything here. First thing I want to talk about is the interface of this library. Look at it. It's absolutely amazing. I really love it. And it's really fun to use as well. And if you have no sound design knowledge or anything like that, this is really handy for you to actually just sort of play around and create sounds. And I'm going to give you an example of that right now. So the first sound I actually came up with when I came up with this song was this one. Now that's from a preset called Clean Cut, which is under the keys section in there. Okay. So with that preset, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up a raw instance of Augmented Strings, and I'm just going to actually load up that preset from scratch. And this is actually what it sounded like if I show you guys quickly. So that's actually the same sound that I've created, but just the raw preset. Now, what I'm going to show you guys is how easy it is to actually change that sound to be something that fits your project or something that you're actually looking for as well. So the sound we're going to try and aim for to create is this one again. Okay, from the exact same preset. Now, the only thing I did, first of all, was this. Move the morph one up. I'm already close, right? But there's some sort of plucky thing underneath which isn't really doing it for me, so we don't want that. So we're not there yet. Okay. So now we're getting rid of that plucky sound, and then a bit longer on the time as well. And we're basically there. And that's how easy it is to just change the sounds. Like, don't get me wrong, there is an advanced page as well. You can really go into the sound design thing if you want to. I actually do this later on with a arpeggiator as well, which I'll show you a bit later on one of the sounds I've had to create. But sticking to these kind of basic things, a lot of the time I played around with a lot when I was using this sound library, and it is just really, really easy and really cool to use. So you can see we've basically recreated that sound from that. The only difference is that this one has just a basic filter on it, just cutting off some of that really harsh high end. But other than that, it's the same sound. So yeah, just wanted to talk about that interface really, and how really sort of inspiring it is to look at, but it's also very, very easy to use, which is just really crucial and such a time saver as well. So yeah, let's just quickly delete that. So what I'm going to do is I want to break down this section by section as well, so we can see sort of the elements that were used from Augmented Strings and how they're actually interacting with each other to create this sound. So first of all, what I'm going to start with is the intro. Okay, so the intro we had is this. Now, there's really only 3 elements going on here, guys. So we've got, first of all, the first sound I actually came up with before even the piano was this sound right here, which is a preset called Fozrella in Augmented Strings. I think I have changed the sound slightly from what it was, but that again was just playing around with these basic controls on the interface, and I've created this sound, which is kind of creating sort of the movement or the pulse of the song. And what that does is essentially drive the track into the rhythm of the middle section. And without that, I feel like if it was just the piano alone, it just wouldn't go into that section very well. So that's what that section's doing. And then we've got a bass as well, something taking the bass region, called Sick Tone, which I think, yep, is just the preset, bog standard preset. I haven't changed anything about it. It's under the bass section and it's called Sick Tone. So that sounds like this. Which kind of sounds like sort of like 80s songs intros and stuff like that, which is really cool. So yeah, those two together are basically providing the foundation. And then the only other layers I've got on there is some low booms, which I think are going to be from Groff, yeah. Again, I say this in every video I do, but I flipping love this interface. Something about the animation, the mood, it just, yeah. It's a sound design library, by the way, but yeah. So there's a couple of booms going on there, which are this. That's it. And then the last thing we've got is a piano from Keyscape, and I'll just quickly go over the preset on that. It's Wing Upright Lonely Basement. Now the uprights in Keyscape are just really, really nice. They sound really old and sort of what you want an upright piano to sound like, really thick. So it sounds like this. Okay, and that basically finishes off the intro section. So then we come into our middle section. Now, straight away, as I said, the first thing I heard was this sound. This started the entire piece, and then I knew I was going after a Stranger Things type sound as well. So what I did is I went back and listen to all of the Stranger Things trailer songs, also the Stranger Things main theme and stuff like that, just to get in the mood of it. And that's actually how I actually come up with that piano sound as well, because that piano was used in one of the trailers. I'm not sure for which season, but it was that kind of piano sound. And I thought, well, I'm going to do that too. And then, yeah, from this sound here, obviously is a very good arpeggiated sound that's going to drive a track, but it's a little on the high end. So what I did is I layered it with this sound right away, which is going to cover the midsection of that, which again is another preset, Vozrella, from the Augmented Strings section, and that there has been customized again, but it is just using the interface controls from that. And together they sound like this. Now, if you aren't layering, guys, what I would make sure that you kind of keep in mind when you're layering is to think about the frequency spectrum and what one sound is doing versus the other. Now, if I would just have another high sound doubling that, then what's the point? You know, like there's nothing actually speaking to you individually. So what this is doing is obviously working together to create a thicker sound that drives the track forward a bit more, you know. And with the high parts here, without it, it's just thin, you know. It doesn't have that kind of layer underneath to kind of make it feel full. And then when you've got it together, just kind of, you know, as I said, drives the track a bit more. So just keep that in mind when you're layering about the frequency ranges and filling them out to make it sound more interesting overall. And then in this section, we've got a pulse, I think. Yep. So this is going to be from Augmented Strings, which is going to be dancing bows, and that's in the sequence section. And it's just the bog standard preset again. So that's exactly what it sounds like. And again, I've got no effects on these, on my buses or anything like that. This is literally just the raw sounds and how they sound. Again, just providing a little rhythm. We've then got also the bass line just continuing single notes. And then we've got this pad as well. Which is anticipation. I haven't changed it at all. It's just a raw sound. Such a nice sound, isn't it? And then after that, we've got another Augmented Strings here, which I think is doing a very low rhythm, which again, we're talking about layering again. Yeah, and to understand that concept a bit more, I'm just going to quickly pull up Pro Q here. So, for example, if we look at this layer here, we've mainly got this region here that I'm emphasizing. Yeah, it's going to sound like trash if you're using speakers, but it's mainly this region that it's actually focusing on. Yeah, and then if you think that that's a rhythmic section, well, you think, how can I make that sound more interesting? Well, I layered it with this sound up here. And you can see that that one, if I mute the bass layer, is more focused on the middle region. You know, it's more focused on this region. So them working together like that, they may sound a bit strange on their own, but them working together like that is really crucial. So just think about that. Again, when you're actually laying your sounds, just make sure you think about that frequency spectrum, how they're impacting each other to get a fuller sound across the spectrum. So it's really important. So I think that's all of the Augmented Strings layers. I've just got a couple of things going on around that. So I've got percussion from, I think Theorem. So it's going to be the Epic Trailer Percussion Heavy Punch, and that sounds like this. Okay, so pretty standard really. And then in the second section of the middle part, I do have another layer from Theorem, which is going to be the Doors Impacts Room Short. Now, when you're hearing that alone, you might go, why? You know, why are you adding that in there? But the thing is that if you actually think about how these layers interact with each other, again, we're thinking about the frequency spectrum. We've got the low kick here. Then we've got something filling out the mid-range, which is those doors impacts. And then what we've got is we've got a high layer that comes in afterwards as well, which is going to be, again, from Theorem, it's going to be Epic, Room, Tails, Massive. And that's going to fill our higher frequency spectrum. And now all together, they're going to sound complete. If we look at this. It doesn't sound so strange when they're all together. So yeah, that's the percussion sections going on there. And then we've also got a synth sound. Which again, when you hear it alone, you're like, what is that? But the thing is that it's from Substance, so it's Output Substance Sound Library. It's a preset called Electro Charge. Again, it's just providing a layer to add some more complexity to, or texture to the piece. It's not a foreground piece, but it's a layer. And then we've got just booms carrying on from the beginning. And that's basically all the elements there together. So I'll just play through that section once more for you so you can see how it all sounds like together. Okay, there was one final sound I missed out from the second part of the middle section. It's actually this part right here, so it's called Bug Bows. And I first ever sort of, when I was browsing all the presets, one of these sounds that I came across was Bug Bows, and I knew immediately that I wanted to use this in the song, and I just wasn't sure where. And I'm telling you, it just provides the push for that last part of that middle section. Without it, it would sound like this. You know, which is fine, but it doesn't have that push of something new's happening, something's evolving, you know, like. And it sounds like a really, really cool 80s thing if I just solo it. It's just got this really nostalgic 80s movie soundtrack type thing, and I freaking love it. It's really nice. So last section we're going to cover off is just really the last big section that we've got. So this is going to be the final push, you know, where we throw everything at it, including the kitchen sink. So first thing I thought when I was kind of doing this, and the first melody I came up with was for the horns, which is obviously not a part of the Augmented Strings library, but a very crucial part in driving the track forward with the bass that Augmented Strings is already providing. So that horn one sounds like this. And then it just repeats one more. Now, even though you've got a horn part there going on for 4 bars there, guys, it's actually a really, really simple melody. So it's actually just, oh, bit high. So we go, it's actually just from E to ba ba. And then we're going G, B, E. And then we go D, E, C, A. G, B, C, A, and that's it. That's the melody. It is just moving down an A minor scale because obviously the piece is in an A minor, and it's just moving down a scale, and it's just keeping that same rhythm, da 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 da, like that, and that's basically what it's doing. So. One thing I would recommend as well when you're coming up with melodies like that, because I actually came up with that melody by just singing it out. If you don't sing out your melodies, please try singing out your melodies. It actually really helps a lot with coming up with things, and you can actually hear as well when you sing them out what kind of instrument you would imagine singing it. The two ones I knew would be playing this would either be the horns or a lead vocal, but of course what blends with this kind of song more is the horns that I found in the end, but I did still make use of the vocal, which brings me into my next part of the change in the sound. So it's going to be this. Which is basically just providing a counter melody when the horns have finished their part, when they've gone bum 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 dun 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 dun, and then we're back in. So it's just providing that counter melody to lead it back into another 4 bars, basically. And then after that, we've got nothing. Nice. I think it's. Oh, I've soloed the wrong track. What a absolute numbnuts. Right. Okay. So. Nope. We're still not playing. Oh, right. There we go. Right. So we've got low brass by the looks of it. And as we know, these are always in the final parts of the song. All they're doing is playing the bass notes in unison down the bottom end, and that's it. And then we've also got. These are the really cool elements, by the way, guys. So these parts here are just a couple of sound design elements. So first of all, we've got this kick, which is kind of providing a different change in the rhythm. And that is from Output Substance, and that preset is called Crunchy Kicks. So it's providing sort of a push. And then we've also got this sound design element here as well. Another element from Output Substance, which is called Access Denied, the preset. And then the last one we got is actually U-Jam Vice. And this is actually providing the boom. Like that's the rhythm I sort of heard this last bit doing, is like a push towards giving it your all kind of feeling. And that sounds like this. And at the end, we've even got some toms in there as well. But even though you might think, well, how does that fit in a cinematic context? If you actually combine these elements, just those 3, we've actually got the core rhythm for this part of the song. Again, it's just another layering technique, looking at the frequency spectrum and how those things work together to create one really cool sound. It sort of sounds like a really badass intro song for Stranger Things or something like that, where a scene's about to happen. That's really cool. But yeah, so that's basically all the elements that we've got there. Now, one thing I did have to change in this part, which is really important, I guess, when you get stuck in that sort of copy and paste phase when you make this kind of music, instead of copying things over, if something just isn't giving you the right feeling, it's not giving you the right push, you need to change it. You can't be lazy. Now, one of those things here was actually the first sound I come up with, which is this. So I immediately knew that this part here can't continue just doing that, because that whole da 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 da, which is just A, C, E, F, by the way, basically that can't continue because that's a build-up sound. Now, when that's kind of built up and you've kind of got to that point, if you don't change that, then it's just going to sound repetitive. So it's not really useful anymore. So I knew that had done its day and it's now out of the track. But the one thing that's not out of the track is the layer sound that I had, this one. But I still needed to change the melody. So what I changed it to was this. Now, if you imagine the rhythm, boom, boom, this is just emphasizing that rhythm as well in the way that it's playing. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Amazing beatboxing by Aaron. I then layered it with another Augmented Strings patch, which is this one here called Plucked Heaven. Again, didn't change the preset at all, but it has an amazing ambience on the layer. And that's what it's playing. Literally, it's just A, C, A, C, A, C, A, B, A, C. That's it. And then everything else is kind of the same here. So we've got the rhythm thing still doing the same thing. We've also got the bass still doing these one notes. Basically, it's just one note. Bum, bum. And then these chords are still exactly the same. It's just a copy and paste. Okay. And then we've also got this low rhythm doing the same thing, so copy and paste. And then we've also got this as well. And then the final element that we have in there from Augmented Strings is actually this one that this is the arpeggiated one I was mentioning earlier that I had to create. So I had to go into the advanced tab and actually change this. So I headed over to the arpeggiated tab. It was the infinite dash preset that's in there. And then what I did is I just used these controls first to look and get the tone that I wanted for this, because it was wrong tone. Then I went over to the advanced tab, went over to the arpeggiator tab and changed this to ascending because I wanted it to follow the kind of feeling. Changed it to a 16th note because it was too slow, and that was it. And then I got this final sound, which was this. And this is just providing the really high-end frequency that I needed to complete this section. And now what I want to do is just quickly solo all of the augmented string section without any of the elements that I've added, just to show you that without augmented strings, the whole mood of this track just wouldn't be there. So I'm just going to play that. Now, if I solo the tracks that aren't augmented strings, so if I just mute augmented strings and actually just solo the elements that I've added, you'll see that it really is not the same song. Like the rhythm's there, yes, but the mood completely gone. So that's kind of what I'm going to kind of get across, is augmented strings is providing the foundation for this track and the way it sounds, and without it I think it would just sound like a completely different song. But yeah, that's basically the overview of this track itself. What I want to do now is just quickly load up a raw instance of augmented strings really quickly, and what I'll do is actually just play through some of the sounds that come with the library, just so you can get an idea of what sort of sounds do come with it. So I'll start off with the bass section right here. Kind of sound design, sort of drone almost. Right. Idea for a track. Sick tone, I use this one. Okay, I'm gonna go through the key section now. So we've got clean cut. Cloudscapes. Bosrella. Now this one I used a lot and actually changed the sound in the song that I had, but this is what the actual preset sounds like. Amazing ambience. Oh my god, it's like a house sound or something like that. And that's what's really cool about the sound library, guys. When I'm playing through these sounds, you'll realize that there is actually quite a variety of sounds. Like the song I made is like sort of a Stranger Things type thing with epic hybrids, sort of orchestral in there. And you can also get really organic sounds as if you were in a period drama, which is in the string section. So I'll get to that in just shortly, but you can see there's quite a variant kind of sound. So we'll go through some of the leads quickly. See that turning into a big action cue. So there's only one organ sound in here as well. That's what it sounds like. There's a lot of pads in here as well. Just an amazing ambience, and to be honest, this is probably why I would use the library personally. It has a really good ambience to all the sounds. I just really feel like, you know, when you make music like I do, I tend to really focus on the ambience and the atmosphere, and this is really good at doing that. A lot of the sounds really have a really nice atmosphere. Yeah, barely touching the surface with the pads, guys. There's literally, I was on C out of A to Z, and I'm literally just started C. So loads and loads of pad sounds for you. Really good ambiences in here. Definitely recommend it. And then I'll go through the sequence section really quickly. And that's what I mean by diversity in this library, guys. Like, literally, you could put this in like a period drama or a medieval thing or something like that, and yeah, you can make a sound like what I've created, which is, you know, really futuristic and something that suits neon. So it's pretty cool. 1 minute you're literally in some neon universe, the other in some period drama, so it's just crazy. It's really unsettling. I almost use this one in the track for a arpeggio. Just really unsettling dry sound. Something's about to happen in a movie. It's tense. Yeah, pretty cool. There's a song for you right away. Like, that's what I mean by singing out your melodies, guys. If you can hear sort of the melody, it kind of suggests what instruments should play it as well. So yeah, definitely start singing your melodies. Then we've also got the actual strings section as well. Nice little pizzicato. Yeah, very cool sounds, very cool sounds. So again, barely touching the surface here, but look at the amount of presets that actually come with this one, guys. There's a lot of presets to go through, a lot to just kickstart your tracks, to be honest with you. It's a really good sample library. And so we come to the verdict. Now, what do I think about Arturia Augmented Strings? Well, I think first off, it's a really good sound design library, and taking orchestral strings and making something really impressive like they have with that beautiful interface, really impressive. Other than the CPU hog being the main drawback of the library, I didn't really run into any issues, and in fact I just really had a lot of fun playing around with the interface, and hopefully I've gave you a good idea of what's actually in that sound library itself. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description of the video to the sound library itself, and if you did enjoy this video, please do hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.